What a beautiful day it is today, and I have a big dilemma that I have to try to figure out. So let's just get onto the freeway first. Man, you can feel that wind today. I'm telling you. Yeah, so I gotta figure out what the heck am I gonna do with my Jeep now. I'm really at the point where I'm sick of fixing it, but at the same time I should give it an honest effort to figure out what the heck is wrong. So we got 3 error codes, and I've already started to troubleshoot it, and I've already found one cause that actually can lead to a failed PCM. However, and I was all set on that, and I was like, yeah, I found it. I got the C121 code, and it's got the torque not set. So this is it. But then I also realized that the camshaft, the P0344, can also set that code. Now there's no other cam codes related to that, which is good. So I don't think timing is an issue as far as timing stretch, and it's an intermittent code and not an active code, which means that it could be a short in the wiring, it could be the sensor starting to fail, or it could be something a whole lot more. And that whole lot more is something we're going to talk about right away. I just gotta wait for this car to go by. Sometimes really bad for doing up my helmet strap. Anyways, back to the codes. We got 3 codes: the dreaded C121C, which can lead to a failed ECM. We got the P0344, and we got another transmission code, which is torque denial. But after thinking about it long and hard and doing some research, I'm thinking the problem is 1 or 2. So we're going to talk about, it is possible that the PCM could be failing, and my good logic excuse for that is when I first bought the Jeep and I fixed it up and I took it out, the alternator shit the bed, shorted out, destroyed the battery, and I actually thought the PCM was going to be ruined then, but it wasn't. So that's why at first I was leaning towards the PCM. As you're going to see in the next video, you're going to see my train of process at the time, and then this video is kind of in the middle where I am actually not going to just order parts. I need to dive into it deeper. And then I got thinking, I've had startup rattle for a while. Even after I bought the Baxter's oil filter adapter, I still had startup rattle, and that Baxter's is supposed to stop the startup rattle. So I started thinking, man, this thing's snake oil. But then I also started reading and doing research, and I watched one guy kind of follow Pine Hollow Diagnostics, and he came across a video over a year ago, but not like the same thing, but he had more camshaft related codes. And what it turned out is that one of the oil gallery plugs had completely fallen out. Now this makes sense to me, because with the startup rattle, the phaser isn't going to shift properly, or not shift, but have the proper oil level to get the timing in spec. So what I need to do after I get home is that I need to get my scanner reconnected. Gonna have all the camshafts on there, clear the codes, take it out for a spin, record the data and trip it out, and see how much the camshaft is not timing in degrees compared to the other one. So if that camshaft is way out of spec when the code goes, then I know that the phaser is not working properly. So then I could have a phaser problem. That oil gallery could come out. So there's a whole bunch of issues. Now the problem with that is now that I got a motorcycle and I have to severely clean my garage up so I could work on the Jeep and still be able to get my bike in and out. That's going to be the fun part, because I got so much shit in my garage that doing this job, taking the passenger valve cover off, I got the Genesis dual battery, so there's a lot of work disconnecting all that. So I'm gonna have to think about that. I don't know, I'm gonna keep plugging away on it, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm really sick and tired of always fixing that Jeep. I never drive it. It seems like every other time I take it out, something happens to it. You know, I got my daily driver, which is the Cherokee. I just picked up the Dodge Ram that'll take me out camping too, which is really nice because I don't feel the trailer behind it. As with the JK, you can feel it. Alright. I just love cruising secondary highways. I go back to work tomorrow, but from T-Rex Racing, where I got the upper crash bars from, I also ordered another lowering kit and an adjustable kickstand, because with the other lowering kit that I bought only got me 1 inch, which is the maximum I could go without moving the kickstand. So now I got the proper setup. I would feel a lot more comfortable if I was down 2 inches instead of 1, because the inseam of the bike, or the seat height, is 32 inches and I'm short, like 5'10", fat, so I'm like a 31, so lowering it like 1 inch is okay, but I like to go down just a little bit more and then I'll feel good. Because somebody pointed out that you're not supposed to use the kickstand to get on or off. That's absolutely true. So what happens is that over time, the shoulder bolt that's inside will actually break and snap off, or the kickstand itself will, or the frame will. So looking at the frame is reinforced strong in that section, so I don't have to worry. The kickstand, it's possible, but I did order a new shoulder bolt. Actually, I bought 2 new shoulder bolts, and I went to go pick up the rest of the parts for my bike, like all the plastics I'm going to swap out. And I took the old one out just to inspect it, make sure that there's no stress cracks or it's ready to break until my new parts came in. I actually noticed that the shoulder bolt was starting to bend. So that is a sign right there. So this will be the last ride on this setup before I get to the new setup. It's gonna rain today, so that's why I'm only going for a short ride. Go on these rides to vlog, clear my head, and just think about like what the heck is going on with my Jeep. Because in the end, I might just sell it as a mechanic special after I fuck around with it for a while and can't solve it. Be taking a loss. But at the same time, when I got the JK as a project, I thought it'd be doing really good for views and stuff, and it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. It seems like people would rather watch videos of a light up trail sticker on your fucking Jeep, or installing some stupid angry grill, or doing stupid mods that absolutely do nothing but make you look retarded. So I really beginning to doubt a large number of the Jeep community. There's like the hardcore people that don't really care to watch YouTube, do their own work, they don't really care. And then there's the stupid people who like to put all stupid mods on, lights before lockers, and are too stupid to even learn how to fix their own Jeep, so they're not even going to watch videos. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think I might just go back to the old days where I used to pick up, you know, skidoos in the summertime that broke down and fix them up and then sell them. I think I might start doing projects like that, because I get kind of tired of working on fucking vehicles and getting too old for that shit. I need to shift my hobbies. And I need to get home before those rain clouds come. So if you're gonna ask me right now where my head is at as far as where I am with the Jeep, I'm gonna say it's either the PCM, that's my last resort, damaged cam phaser, wiring, or an oil gallery plug is loose or came out. That is what my guesses are right now, using the information that I have. And I'd like to know what you guys think as we continue down this rabbit hole of what the heck is going on. It is a cool day today. Damn. Yes, it is. I was kind of debating on getting out for a ride, but I think there's Calgary and there's the rain clouds that are coming. I think I'm gonna beat it home. I think I will beat it home. Oh, my hand is getting numb. Oh, it's nice this time of year when everything is green. Green and looking good. Just going through a school zone right now on the secondary highway. I don't even know what this area is called. All I know, it's where rich people live and peasants like me will never be able to afford a place. That's all I know. Telling you, getting out on the bike is heaven. Just the freedom of cruising. And this Triumph Explorer, I'm really happy with it. Got a few more things to do. This bike has been bought, fixed up, and she's ready to rock and roll. Nice easy project. Then we gotta slow down to 60 here for some reason, which I am not exactly sure why. Maybe because of this corner. Yeah, the biggest thing with the motorcycle is always look where you want to go. If you're making a corner and you're staring off into the distance somewhere, you're automatically going to start going towards that. Yeah, it's weird, but that's it's weird, but that's the way it works. Highway 2 north to Calgary. Exit 60. This will slow down while my fingers are getting numb. And I'll downshift a gear. Some random car just sitting on the side of the road. I wonder if it's like photo radar or something. No, it's not. Just somebody sitting there. And somebody there too. Change lanes. Change lanes again. Now I'm on the home stretch. Lots of vehicles on the side of the road. Here we are, coming north, coming back to Cowtown. Beautiful. Man, when I moved to Calgary in the 90s, when I was just barely in my 20s, Calgary was by far, man, was the greatest place on earth. Electric Ave was still around. Calgary was such a friendly city. Now it's just become, I don't know what they'll call it. I don't think it's really a great city anymore. It's basically at the point where you just live in your own area, because going anywhere in the city takes a long time because of traffic and shit. You can come in here like this here. This was not here like 10-15 years ago. This highway here was not here. It's crazy how things have changed. Anyways, I'm almost home, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And once again, if you have any questions or comments, post them below. And if you made it this far, maybe I'll just sell the JK and get myself a convertible Fiat 500, baby. Anyways, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later.